still have this house here near University of Idaho taped off. This right here is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. We now know the names of those 4 students. They were 20-year-old Ethan Chapin from Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan from Coeur d'Alene, 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves from Rathdrum, Idaho, and 20-year-old Dana Kernodle from Avondale, Arizona, and they were all University of Idaho students. Here's a breakdown of the timeline from what we know so far. Around 1 p.m., we heard
Have a good night. Bye. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
I think I would like the carbonara.
There you go.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
How many more do you need? That's the second one? Awesome.
Dawn's mom. $10. Thank you very much.
We're only here for a noise complaint. Come to the damn door. Finally. So everyone here's trespassing?
Well, no one's here that's trespassing, but no one that lives here is here right now.
So where'd they go?
They're just not here. I have no clue where they went. No clue.
So you guys just throwing a party in their house at
They
this
were
time?
here at one point. They're not here right now. I just searched all the
They
rooms.
left and went over to some other party, and everyone is about
I just searched all
over
the
to
rooms.
another party.
Okay. Who does live here? What are their names?
I am actually not sure. I live across the street. I just came over. I haven't checked the job.
Male, female?
I think it's mainly females. I think it's like 4.
What sorority are they affiliated with?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know if they're associated with the...
So I guarantee you they're associated with the sorority. As many of them are living here. It's an off-campus sorority house. I've been a cop for 22 years here. I'm not stupid. Don't play dumb games with me. I would rather deal with this as a noise complaint than getting a hold of the Greek council and the Greek board and all of that and misleading the students and playing all these stupid fucking games. All I want to do is deal with the noise complaint. Because I guarantee you there's a lot of underage drinking because they left their alcohol behind.
Do you want us to try and get a name or a phone number?
Please, if you could.
Call someone?
We just need to talk to somebody who lives here, because otherwise I have to be under the assumption you guys are unlawfully entered because no one who lives here is here.
Okay.
Right?
We'll go.
So I need to verify that there was a party here. Now everyone left, so thank you. Thanks, guys. I just letting you know this is how it's going to play out. I'm not going anywhere until I talk to somebody who actually lives here.
You know what that is?
Sweet.
For us, that way we can get some sort of communication between us and them.
No, yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I do. Thank you.
This is one of the owners of this here. She's on the phone right now.
Hi, this is Officer Walsh from Moscow Police Department. Who am I speaking with?
Owners of this here. She's on the phone right now.
Hi, this is Officer Walsh from Moscow Police Department. Who am I speaking with? Alright, can you hear me, Maddie?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you live at 1122 Queen Street?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, hey, the reason that we're here is that we received a noise complaint of loud music, partying. Okay. Once we approached the house, people started running away. There was a bunch of alcohol behind. We're not even coming for alcohol. We're coming for the noise complaint. And then we sat here.
This morning, new video surfacing of one of the Idaho murder victims as police track down new leads in the killings.
Hello, miss. What's your name?
The video, first obtained by the website Truth and Transparency, showing Xana Coronado opening the door of the King Street home as officers approach.
I can hear you from clear down the road when we were coming up here. We can hear the music, and that's...
I'm so sorry.
The video from officer-worn body cameras over Labor Day weekend at nearly 1 in the morning. Officers saying it's the second time they've been to the residence that night.
Any outside music, any loud yelling needs to be done.
Okay.
Because we're not, next time you're getting a ticket.
Okay.
Police telling us this was a common occurrence in the normally bustling.
What kind of calls do your officers normally respond to?
You know, a lot of noise complaints.
I've been here in Moscow on scene since about 3 p.m. Since I've been here, I've watched Moscow police cars come in and out of this neighborhood, where officials found 4 people dead. Neighbors say they began noticing police cars flood the area around 12 p.m. today. Moscow police say they responded to a call here on King Road for an unconscious individual. Upon further investigation, officials found 4 people dead. While police investigated the scene, the University of Idaho enacted a shelter-in-place alert as university officials reported a homicide near campus. As we've stated, that alert is lifted at this time. Neighbors say most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or are students, but we do not know the identities of those involved or who lives at the residence. Officials are investigating. This is a very much developing situation, and we will continue to stay on the grounds until we have more information to report back to you.
Still have this house here near University of Idaho taped off. This right here is where officers found 4 bodies yesterday. We now know the names of those 4 students. They were 20-year-old Ethan Chapin from Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan from Coeur d'Alene, 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves from Rathdrum, Idaho, and 20-year-old Xana Coronado from Avondale, Arizona, and they were all University of Idaho students. Here's a breakdown of the timeline from what we know so far. Around 1 p.m., we heard reports of a homicide investigation near the college campus. An hour later, the school put out an alert on social media. It said Moscow PD is investigating a homicide on King Road. They asked the community to stay away from the area and shelter in place as a precaution. Around 3 in the afternoon, Krem2 arrived in Moscow. Neighbors said most people living in this area are a part of U of I Greek life or are students.
You're looking at enhanced video of the confrontation between 2 of the University of Idaho murder victims and another student at a food truck. The time, 1:30 a.m., just hours before the murders. Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogan stopped for mac and cheese after partying at a nearby bar.
Everybody seemed like in good spirits, nothing seemed off, and then they start interacting with a couple other people. They're waiting for their food.
Now look at this. Video shows Madison pointing at a man in a hoodie who appeared to have followed them to the truck. We had the video and audio from the clip enhanced, and you can hear her using an expletive. Blank you, mister, she says. Police have already announced they have cleared the young man in the hoodie. Audio engineer Anthony Nelson enhanced the audio for Inside Edition. What do you hear in that instant?
She says, you.
So, was there an argument? If so, what was it about? Kaylee's parents say in their opinion, some of the individuals have been cleared too prematurely. Nancy Grace, host of Crime Stories, says the victims' families are being mishandled.
Number one thing you do in a murder case is you locate the victim's family and loved ones, and you hold their hands from soup to nuts till you get that guilty verdict. All the way. Now, do I mean hand over your file and all the intricacies of the case? H-E-double-L, no. But there's a happy medium. These families families should not feel this way.
Meanwhile, the focus is shifting to where the other two victims, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, were between 9 p.m. when they were at a gathering at a Sigma Chi fraternity and 1:45 a.m. when they returned home, just a short distance from the frat house. Police fear students who have the information are reluctant to come forward. News Nation's Brian Enton is in Idaho.
Police told me they want to send a message out to the kids here on campus. They're not concerned about what was happening at any of these parties, whether the kids were drinking or the college students were smoking pot or whatever. They're not going to get in trouble, police say. They just want the information about where Xana and Ethan were.
They're not going to get in trouble, police say. They just want the information about where Xana and Ethan were.
My name is Chief James Fry with the Moscow Police Department. I'm going to be reading from my notes today because I want the information you received to be extremely accurate. We know you have questions, and so do we. That is why we're here. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this press conference. Joining me today is the Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson, University of Idaho President Scott Green, Provost and Vice President Tori Lawrence, University of Idaho Dean of Students Blaine Eccles, Latah County Sheriff Richie Skiles, Chief Deputy of Latah County Tim Best, Idaho State Police Colonel Kedrick Wills. The Moscow Police Department would like to extend our condolences to all family members, friends, the University of Idaho, and the Moscow community. This was a horrible crime that took the lives of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves. This horrible crime has affected all of us, the families, the University of Idaho, our community, our country, and our officers. Agencies that are involved in this task force include Latah County Sheriff's Office, the Idaho State Police, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations. As we continue our investigation, we have learned that Ethan and Xana were at a party on campus, and Madison and Kaylee were at a downtown bar. They arrived home sometime after 1:45. If anyone in our community or across our nation has any information about these times or the victims' whereabouts, please call our tip line at 208-883-7180. The facts of the case that we know right now. We know that these homicides occurred in the early morning hours of Sunday, November 13th. Around noon, Moscow officers received a call of an unconscious person. Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves inside the residence on King Road. The four were stabbed with a knife, but no weapon has been located at this time. There was no sign of forced entry into the residence. Investigators are continuing to collect evidence at the scene. Investigators are working to develop a timeline to relevant events. Autopsies are taking place today on all the victims so we can continue to gather evidence and solve the crime. Investigators are working to follow up on all leads and to identify a person of interest. Based on details at the scene, we believe this was an isolated, targeted attack on our victims. We do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there.
We do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there.
A manhunt is underway for the person responsible for murdering 4 University of Idaho students in their off-campus home last week.
So far, no suspects have been identified in the attack. Local officials are struggling to answer several key questions, like where the murder weapon is and how the 2 surviving roommates were able to sleep through the attack.
Like where the murder weapon is and how the 2 surviving roommates were able to sleep through the attack. Surviving roommates were able to sleep through the attack.
Joining us with more is Idaho State Police Communications Director Aaron Snell. He's also the Public Information Officer for the Moscow Police Department. Director Snell, thank you for being here. As you heard, there are some major questions that people have. What is the latest on the investigation?
Most definitely, there are major questions, and we continue to investigate this case around the clock. It's very important to us. It's important to this community. It's unfortunately a major tragedy, and so we really want to solve this case. As far as updates go, we continue to investigate. We have over 700 leads. We also provided a way for the community to provide their surveillance videos to us through the FBI, and so more leads are pouring in every day. We've investigated and interviewed over 30 people. And over 90 people. And so we're continuing this investigation and really working through the leads as they're coming to us and vetting everything and making sure that we're going to get to the bottom of this.
You know, it's such a bizarre and horrific crime. You know, and a lot of people have questions about who could have done something like this. We know that the surviving roommates have been ruled out so far by police. But I wonder, you know, is there any more information about any motivation? At first, there was information about, you know, possibly being a targeted attack. We don't know, or from the reporting I've been reading, that can't be confirmed. Any clues as to whether it was one or more suspects? Just anything that we can know?
Yeah, at this point in time, you know, everybody wants us to focus down and come up with motives and all those types of things, which are important. We do not want to get rabbit-holed in any specific motive, any specific thought or theory. Our detectives are truly taking a whole view approach. We're still putting together the pieces of this case. We're putting together the tidbits of information, and we're trying to come up with a clear picture. We have not identified whether it was one suspect or more. As well, we have not identified any motive. I can tell you that there is substantial progress in this case behind the scenes. Obviously, in these types of cases, these very complex types of cases, you know, law enforcement will tell you cannot provide a lot of that information to the public because it would hinder the investigation. So,
just these very complex types of cases, you know, law enforcement will tell you cannot provide a lot of that information to the public because it would hinder the investigation. So,
could this be the killer's handprint? The ghostly image appeared when this window was dusted for prints.
There's no doubt that it's an important item of evidence. There has to be a point of entry and a point of exit in a crime like this. If there is a handprint, it may be very significant.
And we're learning that 21-year-old Kaylee Gonsalves may have been the killer's prime target. Published reports say that Kaylee was subjected to a more brutal attack than the other 3 victims. She was killed on the same bed along with her best friend, Madison Mogan. News Nation reporter Brian Enton is in Idaho covering the investigation.
There's a number of different theories possible. Since her wounds were more significant than Maddie's, is it possible she was the target? Yes. Or is it possible that she woke up and was trying to fight back and that Maddie was the target?
As the investigation enters its 4th week, Kaylee's father is expressing disappointment with the local police.
Do you feel confident in the police investigation and the people investigating right now?
I do not feel confident, and that's why I push the envelope and say a little bit more. I hate to be that guy, but you know, there's a job to do for everybody. Has a job and a role to play in this. This is my role as the parent.
He says he's raising money to hire a private detective. The 2 surviving roommates who slept through the attack are breaking their silence. Poignant letters from Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk were read aloud by a pastor at a memorial service in an Idaho church. Dylan wrote,
"I know it will be hard to not have the 4 of them in our lives, but I know Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee would want us to live life and be happy."
Now, 7 weeks after Xana, her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonsalves, and Madison Mogan were found brutally stabbed to death, the home is still an active crime scene. Today, authorities say biohazard teams will begin the initial cleanup process of the 6-bedroom popular off-campus home. For more than 2 months, the murders have rocked this community, and while questions swirl, the victims honored now by their loved ones. A celebration of life planned tonight for lifelong best friends Kaylee and Maddie. But as Kaylee's father told GMA last month, this fight is far from over.
You know, I'll fight for her, and I'll help all these family members find some way to keep this story going.
Now, families were given their children's belongings before the biohazard teams start their work today. Once that is done, they will return the property to the management company, but as of now, they have no timeline for that.
Before Wednesday's press conference, Moscow police had only told the public the 4 students were found dead inside the home late Sunday morning. Wednesday, they revealed that all 4 victims were stabbed to death. Chief Fry says 2 other roommates were at the home during the attack, but were not injured, and he is not calling them witnesses. He said they were also home when police arrived at the house. Fry did not say why the call to police was not until noon on Sunday, when the attack happened in the early morning hours. Police said it appeared to be a targeted attack, but did not explain why. Moscow police have also been saying that they do not believe there is an ongoing threat to the community. But today, the tone changed. Police say the search for a suspect continues, and people should look out for each other.
In speaking with Kaylee Gonzalez's mother and sister, they told me Kaylee was a strong and passionate go-getter. She even already had a job lined up in the tech industry after graduation. Kaylee was one of 5 Gonzalez's children. She graduated from Lake City High School, the same school as Maddie Mogan, another victim. Kaylee's family says the 2 were especially close, and Maddie was a part of their family as well. Kaylee's oldest sister, Olivia, shared a statement on behalf of the Gonzalez family. It reads in part, "Kaylee was, is, and always will be our defender and protector. She's tough and fair, the ultimate middle child. She did absolutely everything she set her mind to. She didn't hold back on love, fights, or life. Kaylee was the ultimate go-getter and constantly wanted an adventure." We still have a lot of questions about what happened. Also looking for answers is Kaylee's family. Kaylee's sister Olivia asked the public to stop spreading rumors about what happened and wait for the facts from police. We are continuing to ask our own questions and will continue to bring you updates as we get them.
So Casey, we got just a few tidbits from the investigators. Where's your mind on this right now? What do you think we're looking at here?
Again, it's been more than a week, and what we learned from last night's press conference is there are still no suspects. They're working hard on it. They are looking at every single tip that's called in, but they have definitively ruled out the roommates who were not harmed, the guy who drove them home, a guy in a white hoodie picked up in the food truck video. And they're telling us who they don't think it is, but they don't seem to be any closer to who they think it is.
And they're telling us who they don't think it is, but they don't seem to be any closer to who they think it is.
So one of the more interesting things we found out is that the roommate's phone was used to make the 911 phone call, but somebody else made that phone call, and the police had to actually confirm it was not the killer.
That the roommate's phone was used to make the 911 phone call, but somebody else made that phone call, and the police had to actually confirm it was not the killer.
But it does appear other friends came over on that Sunday morning to discover these bodies.
The phone records are interesting because on one of the phones, one of the girls was calling, or somebody from that phone was calling the ex-boyfriend multiple times. I think it was 7 times, which shows that they were alive at that time. But what does that tell you?
Right, between 2:30 and about 2:52, Kaylee was calling her former boyfriend, longtime boyfriend, the parents vouch for him, 7 times. And in fact, her friend Maddie also called him 3 times. So, are these girls drunk? They're not texting, they're calling. His story is he's asleep, he's not getting the phone calls. My question is, did they leave voicemails? And what do those voicemails say? Why haven't we heard about this? The police were asked directly, is that ex-boyfriend a suspect? And they simply said they looked into the phone calls and it was cleared and they didn't think there was a connection, but they didn't rule him out.
Let's talk about the weapon. We've learned more about the knife. Is that a potential area to follow in terms of the investigation? Is it a distinct kind of knife that might provide a clue?
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing we found out over the weekend. We were wondering if it was a kitchen knife, a knife of opportunity found on location, but it appears to be, as if you will, like a hunting knife, a Rambo-style knife is what they're referring to. They are checking with local sporting goods stores to see if one was purchased lately, so far coming up dry. But that indicates that the person who did this brought the knife with them. They haven't found it. And the style of knife, again,
plan reflects fantasy. This person has been thinking about doing a crime like this. They're interested in the process of stabbing. It's a very process-focused crime. And person who is obsessed with knives and bloodletting, this is the kind of person they're looking for. Somebody who may have tortured animals in the past, that's going to be on their suspect list.
Ethan Chapin, his brother and sister all grew up here together. They went to school here together, and together they enrolled at the University of Idaho. 3 inseparable siblings, now torn apart.
You just couldn't ask for better kids.
Dave Hayton considered Ethan Chapin family. All the Chapin kids, actually. He and his wife watched them grow up in their Conway neighborhood. They'd come over for fudgesicles from the basement freezer. When the couple heard what happened, they were crushed.
She's crying. And she says Ethan's been murdered. I just couldn't. You just can't get your head around it.
All 3 siblings attended the Conway School before moving on to Mount Vernon High, where Ethan played on the basketball team and graduated last year. All 3 later decided to attend the University of Idaho. Ethan and his brother were members of the same fraternity.
I know I didn't sleep a lot last night. I'm just thinking of them. We had some good times together.
The Haytons treated the kids like grandchildren. The couple shared these photos from Ethan's mom's Instagram page. This one taken just a few weeks ago at Parents' Weekend. Dave recalls Ethan as smart, athletic, and always respectful. He says all 3 were great kids, and having one of them gone is inconceivable.
I remember last night I woke up several times and I think, gee, I wish somebody would just tell me this is a bad dream. But unfortunately, it's not a bad dream. It's a reality.
Still no word as to a potential motive in these killings, no word as to a potential suspect. However, authorities in Idaho do say that there is no threat to the public.
These killings, no word as to a potential suspect. However, authorities in Idaho do say that there is no threat to the public.
We pieced together information from a case affidavit released by authorities, verified publicly available evidence, and pulled in ABC News reporting to create a visual timeline outlining significant events in this case. It's around 9 p.m. local time on Saturday, November 12th in Moscow, Idaho. According to an affidavit released by authorities, Zana Kernodle and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin are seen hanging out at the Sigma Chi house. It's about a 5-minute walk from their off-campus house on King Road. Zana's roommates Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Mogan are at the Corner Club. It's a historic sports bar in town. They stay at the bar for about 3 hours, according to an affidavit released by authorities. And around 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie leave the corner bar. The next available images we have of them are in this surveillance footage obtained by ABC News. They're heading towards a local food truck, which is about a 6-minute walk from the bar. Police say this man with them is not a suspect. This is the grub truck. They had been streaming live on Twitch since about 10 p.m. And around 1:41 a.m., we see all 3 of them walk into frame. Maddie and Kaylee order food.
Have a good night. Bye. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back.
I think I would like
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
How many more do you need? That's the second one? Awesome.
Dawn's mom. $10.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
They wait around for about 10 minutes. Around 1:51 a.m., they grab food from the truck window and walk out of frame. Police confirm that at this point they get picked up by a car service. And about 6 minutes later, they arrive at home on King Road. According to an affidavit, Ethan and Zana are already in the house, along with 2 other roommates. 2:47 a.m. According to police, a phone belonging to the suspect, Brian Koberger, stops connecting to the cell network in nearby Pullman, Washington. This is where he lives and studies criminology as a PhD student at Washington State University. 2:53 a.m. Authorities say a white sedan consistent with a vehicle registered to Koberger is seen traveling towards the highway that that connects Pullman and Moscow. It's only about a 10-mile drive between the two cities. At 3:29 a.m., surveillance footage obtained by police from the King Road neighborhood captures a white sedan making an initial drive by the victim's house. Authorities say this car will make another 2 passes in the next 30 minutes. It's 4 a.m. According to the affidavit, Zana receives a DoorDash delivery, and a source tells ABC News that the delivery is contactless and the order is left at the front door. A surviving roommate would later tell authorities that around this time, 4 a.m., she wakes up to what sounds like Kaylee playing with her dog in the room on the 3rd floor. She also reports hearing someone say, "There's someone here." 4:04 a.m., authorities say the white sedan is seen driving into the neighborhood a 4th time. 4:12 a.m., according to phone records obtained by police, Zana is awake and using TikTok. The affidavit states that the same surviving roommate says she hears what sounds like crying coming from Zana's room. She opens her door a second time and says she hears a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At 4:17 a.m., this security camera on a neighbor's home picks up distorted audio of what sounds like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times. Affidavit states the surviving roommate then opens her door a 3rd time. She sees a masked man walking past her towards the sliding glass door in the kitchen. In frozen shock, she locks her door. 4:20 a.m., police say the white sedan is seen leaving the neighborhood at a high rate speed. 5:25 a.m., authorities say that same vehicle is seen on 5 cameras back in the Pullman area, near where the suspect lives. And then, between 9:12 and 9:21 a.m., police say data collected shows the suspect's phone appearing near the scene of the murders. About 8 hours after the killings, a 911 call reports an unconscious person at the scene of the crime. Shortly after, Moscow police discover the bodies of 4 students.
The facts of the case that we know right now.
Morning, a sister of one of the 4 college students found murdered at an off-campus house near the University of Idaho, revealing new clues.
So I was able to get a pretty good timeline on Kaylee and Maddie the night of, from about 10:15 until shortly before 3 a.m.
Olivia Gonzalez says she discovered at least 6 calls from her sister Kaylee's phone between 2:26 and 2:52 made to a boyfriend in the early morning of November 13th. Detectives now saying these phone calls are part of their investigation. Kaylee's family is firmly standing behind that boyfriend.
I know for an absolute fact that he is not a suspect. He is not suspicious. He is 100% innocent in this.
This new information adding more insight to the police timeline before Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were stabbed multiple times, likely while sleeping, by a Rambo-style knife. Kaylee and Madison were last seen at this food truck, moments later leaving with a rideshare driver. Police now saying they do not believe that driver is involved. Police now also releasing this map that is part of the latest search area around the home and asking for new surveillance video. This TikTok showing Kaylee, Madison, and Xana inside just weeks before. The 2 surviving roommates also in the video. We are blurring their faces because police have not identified them, but confirmed the 911 call came in through one of their phones. As for those surviving roommates, police confirmed they did not wake up until later that afternoon. They will be holding a press conference today at 3 p.m. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
It's not something you ever expect to hear.
Through the tears and shock, Jim and Stacy Chapin described the moment they found out their son Ethan was gone.
It's not a call that you think that you're going to have to speak with the funeral home directors and the FBI and have it hit national news.
Earlier this week, Moscow police identified Chapin as one of the 4 victims killed in the home just off campus. Stacy and Jim said their son was staying with his girlfriend at the house, who was also killed, Xana Kernodle. So far, police haven't released many details about the investigation, and as questions mount, the Chapins say they wanted to make sure Ethan's story was told.
It's important for us to get Ethan's story out. We don't really want anybody else representing him, and it's hard to have people speaking on his behalf, so we think it's best for us to do this.
He's the kind of kid that everybody wanted to be around. You know, he was just a good kid.
He's a good kid.
That
Kind to all.
didn't deserve what happened.
No.
They say Ethan was a triplet. He and his siblings were extremely close. In fact, they all decided to attend the University of Idaho. Jim says Ethan was an athletic kid who played club soccer and refereed youth sports. His smile, he says, lit up a room, and he made friends wherever he went. They had just spent last weekend at the university for Parents' Weekend.
And as we pulled out of Moscow, we literally were like, we've done it. We've literally done it as parents. We've created 3 incredible humans that will go on and have something great to offer to this world. Honestly, all 3 of them.
A week later, as they grapple with this horrific loss, they say they're determined to keep moving forward for Ethan.
So we will not let this sink us or sink our kids. Because if anything, they have to go on and shine Ethan's bright light on their own.
We're just left in limbo.
This morning, Kaylee Gonzalez's parents sharing exclusively with GMA never-before-seen pictures and videos of their 21-year-old daughter.
There's a type you can like season with these. You can't really season with them, but you can cook with them.
Yeah, I know that's in front of the tower.
Yeah.
This is in front of the University of Idaho Tower.
The family still waiting on a full digital copy of Kaylee's phone from authorities.
These are the last moments of your child's life, and you're sitting here fighting with somebody who just doesn't care.
They were able to collect some of Kaylee's belongings from the university over the summer, which raised concerns for them about how well possible evidence was processed, including a trash can from Kaylee's room that was full and appeared untouched.
We opened it. It was a little squeezy applesauce thing like you would give to like a toddler. Yeah. It did not appear to have been gone through.
Police saying they had gathered more than 100 pieces of physical evidence from the scene, along with some 4,000 photos and 3D scans of the residence. Still, frustration mounting for the family over what they consider a lack of communication and a rush to tear down the home on King Road. Christy describes for the first time how Kaylee was found.
It's my understanding Kaylee was kind of sitting up.
Yes.
And had fought.
Yeah. And the way that room's put together, if you come through that door, you can't get out of that room.
Completely, totally trapped.
Yeah. You're in
tiny room. The bed was the entire room. I opened up the door without swiping the foot of the bed. And it was wall. You know, the headboard was up against the wall. The side where Kaylee was on was up against the wall. And if you can imagine Kaylee in an upright sort of position, up in the corner, slumped.
Recording.
Hello? How you doing? How y'all doing today? Good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van. Pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay. Cool. Where are you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU, and
What's WSU? So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going where? Oh. Oh, okay.
We're slightly punchy because we drive for hours.
Hours, days. Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing? Or
Yeah, there was a mass shooting and everything.
Where? Interesting.
Well, it's horrifying because it's on the university.
So y'all work at the university there?
I actually do work there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that incident. Just yesterday, or?
This happened this morning. About an hour and a half ago, we're still wrapping it up. So we're not sure there's two shooters because they did shoot somebody.
Let's see.
And then didn't know about that actually. They were there when the shooting out the window or something.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So do me a favor, don't follow too close, okay? All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
More than 6 weeks after 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in their apartment just blocks away from campus, police say they have arrested a suspect. 28-year-old Brian Koberger was arrested in northeastern Pennsylvania and is awaiting extradition to Idaho on a warrant for fugitive from justice. During a news conference today, Moscow Police Chief James Fry said that Koberger is facing 4 murder charges.
Good evening, Joe. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of information we garnered from that news conference from today because the chief of police, as James Fry, the chief of police here in Moscow, mentioned, so did Bill Thompson, the Layton County prosecutor, who said they can't really say a whole lot about the case and the investigation up to this point because that suspect, Brian Koberger, is still in Pennsylvania awaiting extradition. That is happening on Tuesday, and until he gets back into Idaho, they can't really say much so they don't jeopardize the case. State law says they can't do that. What we do know is they kind of broke down how this happened and how we got to this point. And
Police department, search warrant, come to the door.
So in this newly released video, you can't see much. Officers redacted quite a bit of the footage to preserve their case against him, but you can see them enter his apartment and file away a few things. From an unsealed search warrant, we know some of what they took. A black disposable glove, multiple suspect hair strands, including an animal hair strand. That's notable because it doesn't seem like Koberger had a pet, and one of the victims did own a dog. A dark red spot in the apartment sampled for testing, reddish-brown stains found on a pillow, and multiple mattress covers with stains. Koberger's next scheduled court date is June the 26th.
Robin, good morning. So Ashlyn Couch moved out of that house on King Road months before her friends were murdered. And this morning, she shares the memories, both happy and haunting, including the moment she got that vandal alert that changed everything.
I mean, I couldn't even walk to my car in the dark for months after, it happened.
Fear lingering with Ashlyn Couch after her friends were stabbed to death in their off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho, a home where she too once lived.
It crosses my mind more that could have happened while I was there. And, you never know, how long someone is watching your house.
The 6th bedroom on King Road was hers, and now this morning, she's speaking out for the first time on camera since Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin were murdered in November of 2022. Ashlyn initially signed the lease to live in the popular off-campus home, telling our station KXLY that she moved out in May of 2022 after graduating the semester before. But she stayed close with the girls, especially Maddie, sharing the last message she sent to her after getting an alert from the University of Idaho that there had been a suspected homicide.
I texted our group of friends and I just had said, has anyone heard from Maddie? And I remember my last text message to her was are you okay? And I feel right then and there I kind of just knew that something was wrong.
The man charged with their murders? Brian Koberger, a judge entering a not guilty plea on his behalf as his defense team says he was out driving that cold November night, as he often did, to hike or stargaze. But prosecutors allegedly linking Koberger to the heinous crimes through DNA left on the button strap of a knife sheath found underneath Maddie.
You wish that you could just say goodbye, and that's one thing that I just wish that I could do at least one more time is just give her one last hug just to be able to say goodbye.
It's been a long and painful journey for the families of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, the 4 University of Idaho students who were stabbed to death in the pre-dawn hours of November 13th, 2022.
Do you ever dream of your sister?
Yeah, I've had some dreams of her. Just gives me some peace knowing that I know she's okay.
Xana Kernodle's sister Jasmine and father Jeffrey are speaking out for the first time since Xana's murder.
just happened, you know? What do? You can't do a damn thing.
Everybody's going to work, and you look out the window, and there's kids running down the street laughing, and you're just like, how can you be out there playing? My daughter's dead.
On the night of the murders, Christy and Steve Gonsalves' daughter, Kaylee, was in the same bed as her childhood friend, Maddie Mogen. The Gonsalveses say coroner Kathy Mabbitt told them before a gag order the killer attacked Maddie first, then moved on to Kaylee.
There's evidence to show that she awakened and tried to get out of that situation.
They say she cried out, and her wounds show she fought for her life.
The way the bed was set up is what...
She was trapped.
She was trapped.
Xana also fought back. According to her father, she had severe defensive wounds.
She went down fighting.
I believe so. It's upsetting to think about.
She was always a very strong person.
A judge has entered a plea of not guilty on Brian Kohberger's behalf, but he is not the person the families want us to remember.
The judge has entered a plea of not guilty on Brian Kohberger's behalf, but he is not the person the families want us to remember.
He's not important other than what he did and being held accountable. I'll be here to keep reminding people who these victims are.
I'll be here to keep reminding people who these victims are.